And welcome back to another episode of Ghost with your hosts. I'm Troy as always, and who is this here? This spooky man?
It's me, your spooky co-host Chris, here to talk ghosts with my main man Troy. So what are we talking about this week, Troy?
So, this was up to suggestion from actually you. We are talking about vengeful spirits. Why do they still roam? Why do they still roam our plane? Why are they angry? We'll figure that out
I
tonight,
mean,
won't we?
but I can already tell you, I'd be pretty angry if I died. So we have a jump start on that, don't we?
Yeah, that's actually how we're gonna start this. Is the main reason for vengeful spirits is that somehow, some way in their life, right before their death, they were wronged, right? So whether it be they were murdered or like someone did something that pissed them off, it's like an unfinished business kind of thing.
Yeah. Now I can imagine, if I left some unfinished business in my life, say, oh God, what's a good example? If somebody screwed me over, or I died before I did something, or generally any of those reasons, yeah, I'd be pretty mad. I don't know if I'd be vengeful, come back as a ghost, and be angry mad, but I'd be pretty mad. But now, what do you think what do you think determines these why they do what they do? Because I'm aware that there are different levels of activity from certain vengeful spirits.
Honestly, I think it might be completely dependent on kind of like how they died, I guess, or what kind of happened to them.
So, yeah, I can imagine that in some cases there are spirits that are more vengeful than others. For example, if someone got murdered and it was unsolved, that they might be not as angry as other spirits,
I,
but
I
I
was
can
gonna
imagine.
say it's they can even be classified as unhappy just because like if they're roaming, it could even just be something as simple as they weren't given a proper burial.
Oh yeah, and that's there's also that too, because you hear stories of people getting left in walls or buried in shallow graves. I remember one of the earliest ghost stories was a story out of Rome where the ghost would haunt this hall, rattling his chains, doing ghostly things. And it wasn't until in the story the character followed said ghost to find out that there were remains in his backyard, to which the ghost would disappear after the remains were properly buried.
Yeah, yeah, I was about to bring that up actually. Is that this isn't a modern thing? It's this has gone all the way back.
Hmm.
It's like this stems from multiple cultures, all kind of the same root.
Yeah,
It's
and
like you said, like they want to harm a living person because of something they did, or there's not a proper burial, or something happened to them.
or outright they're just evil spirits. This roots back into paganism, which they believed a number of spirits were evil and would do harm, so they performed various rituals. Forgive me, I am not a pagan myself, nor have I looked into this heavily that and or am familiar with pagan rituals that I can't say what the rituals are, but I know Halloween was actually based off one of these pagan rituals to appease the spirits.
Yeah, Halloween's the like quote unquote like thinnest the veil between our world and the next is. So
Mhm.
it's like kind of a thing is like people go out and walk around in costumes and you can't
And
really tell.
they wear
Yeah,
yeah, and something about wearing the mask for oh, what was it? To hide themselves from spirits, I believe it was. I don't remember that part
it was something
entirely.
along that lines. We'll probably cover that around October.
Yeah. Now, the other interesting thing is a little bit of a tangent here. A very similar sort of what do you call it? Oh God, it's slipping my mind here.
Like,
Ritual. I guess you could say ritual. I get no, it's a holiday really. The Day of the Dead in Mexico sounds in a weird way similar to what the pagans did. So I'm wondering where the connection between that lies, because the Day of the Dead celebrates dead relatives, while the pagan rituals also celebrate dead relatives. Or maybe I'm overlooking this, and maybe I don't know enough about either of them to make this
yeah,
comparison.
it's
But
well, we'd have to get someone in here to talk about that. I do know a little bit about the Day of the Dead, and it's to celebrate family that you've lost and just to celebrate family in general more so. So it's more,
Okay.
it has more kind of like a happy holiday to it instead of a
Okay.
sinister thing.
It's like it's almost like celebrating Christmas with the dead. But if you, but I don't want to get into that talk because some people argue that that's what Christmas really is. But we're not
Yeah,
going
you
into
got to
that.
remember we can't say certain things, Chris. So
Yeah, well. So back on topic here. Now, certain vengeful spirits are outright hostile to not just one specific person, but to anyone. What
yeah,
what do you
it's
think what do you think drives them to be outright hostile to everyone? Do you think it's because they're a mean person, or do you think it's a different sort of spirit?
so um there's two things I can think of right off the bat. Is either one, there were, like, you know, the whole old story of like family bloodline curses or whatever. Like, say someone's like great great granddad like wronged someone, and that person who got wronged died in a really messed up way, and
Yeah.
that person's just like, oh, I'm gonna haunt your family for the rest of my eternal life.
Oh yeah.
Or it could be one of those things that it's a lot more common now. um like someone gets screwed over by big corporate or the
Hmm.
government or someone, and they just despise, like, again, they're upset how they died, and they're just like, you know what, forget humanity, I'm gonna make anyone I know suffer.
Ah, yes. So just now, I understand that there are that people want to see the suffering of others for how they suffered, and I totally get that. But to do that for the rest of your life, that's you got to think there's a point where you get tired of it, or do you think there's a point that there is no control over what you do? Because a lot of times these things sort of, excuse me. Now, so to do that for the rest of your eternal life, you're either doing that because you have the choice to, or that you are granted that sort of ability by a power that controls. Now that's now discussing a sort of power, higher entity, higher being. That's I don't know if we're gonna discuss that on this show,
We'll
but
wait for a while on that. um
okay.
More so, how I think what might you could say would be a little bit better is, it might be like how we get addicted to stuff. It might just be an addiction. It's like, oh, I have to do this now, I don't know anything else.
So like a habit, a compulsory habit that some people would say like have compared to
Yeah.
like an
Or,
OCD sort of thing.
yeah, or they just could enjoy it because, like, I know there's a lot of movies, like modern movies, that they have these like vengeful spirits and revenants and all that, that at a certain point they just kind of like doing it because it gets an emotion out of
Yeah.
people. Like,
Um,
a couple good ones are The Grudge, Candyman. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
I don't think I've seen Candyman.
Poltergeist, which
Yeah, I remember that one.
Poltergeist was a good one.
Hmm.
That might actually be the topic for Thursday.
Okay. Now, back to what we were saying though. There are different levels of vengeful spirits, like we said, and yes, some of them do it for amusements. As you know, there are a number of spiritual tricksters who will not necessarily harmful, but more or less a nuisance, annoying. They find it funny, like
Yeah.
moving things, opening things. You know, not necessarily harmful, just a, a nuisance.
Well,
But then there are outright harmful spirits.
that's where we're getting into the
So,
different classifications of spirits.
mhm,
Because it's like, if you're just going strict off of what a vengeful ghost or a vengeful spirit is, it's just
mhm,
a spirit that, like, intends to do malicious harm to
mhm,
someone or someone's.
mhm. Now, what confuses me, to a little bit of degree, as you know, people often see children as an innocent sort of type, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of these times, yes, there are the family curse things where your family is cursed, but a lot of these times, these spirits are generally unrelated. And a lot of times they prey on the children, obviously because they are children, but it makes you wonder why they specifically target them, other than the fact that they may be more vulnerable. But do they enjoy? harassing someone so weak and frail compared to like an adult. Maybe it's a power thing even in
Well,
some scenario, but that's
he,
pushing it. But still,
yeah, here's the thing that's actually a really good. I'm actually glad you brought that up because here's a really good thing about that. So, think about it. You're like 4 or 5 years old. You're just learning to talk and all that, right? And your
Mhm.
parent, like, you have an active imagination because you're a small child and you're just learning about things.
Yeah,
Then all of a sudden, this thing comes out of your closet and starts like harassing you at night and scaring you and doing all that. And you go to your
Mhm.
parents and they humor you. It's like, oh, well, you see, they open the closet. Oh, there's nothing in the closet. You see, you're fine. Just imaginary friends, something like that. And I think it might just enjoy the thing of like, you see, they don't believe you. Just because you're so young, it's
so
like they don't think you're, like, they just think you're scared of the
so
dark
then
or something.
so they'll enjoy putting you in that panic and putting you in that state of fear for their own amusement, enjoyment, or
I think it might
any
just be the
number of other
state
reasons.
of it's like you can't do anything to stop this period.
Oh yeah. Now there is a difference between that too, and especially 'cause I've heard numerous stories about these sort of ghosts actually harming children, which what goes back to what you said about the vengeful spirits
That might be
and
something different. Um,
mhm,
I mean, who knows? It could be a vengeful spirit, or it could just be something a lot worse.
that is true too. The only way I can imagine an actual sort of vengeful spirit would be going after a child would be if in a past life, if you believe in reincarnation, which not getting too much into it, but to a degree I do. To a degree, it's up in the air for me. If that child did something that person a past life or something, then that could be a reason why it would react in such a manner.
Yeah, but that'd be even on a spiritual level. I think that would be pretty hard to figure out like a past life and its current life.
Yeah, that is. The spirits and
I mean, they have their
otherworldly
ways.
apparitions are
They have their ways, just
too.
like we have our ways.
Yeah, they have their ways, and we don't understand enough about it to make an assumption. But um,
Now,
I imagine
granted,
that.
you can like EVP Spirit Box. You can try and talk to them.
Mhm.
The response you'll get may or may not be what you're looking for. Might not even be anything, or it
Mhm.
could be something you weren't wanting and just making it worse.
Yeah. Um. Now that goes down to. Let me think here. I'm sorry, I'm drawing blanks here. The a lot of a lot of hostile spirits are often summoned in that manner, is which I think it goes back to the oh man, I'm saying a lot. It goes back to the fact that the vulnerability of it. Like when you use something like a Ouija board or a spirit box, you open yourself up to that hostile spirit
Yeah.
because you are reaching out into an unknown.
Now, granted, have I used a Spirit Box? Yes. Will I ever use a Ouija board? No. Flat out, no. Get that away from me. I will never touch one.
We don't mess with Ouija boards here on this show, so you ain't gonna get no Ouija board live stream. Sorry, folks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the only time you'll see us using a Ouija board maybe when we're doing Phasmophobia.
That's about the only time, even in Phasmophobia.
It's
But
still
as I'm
hard to
saying,
find it, but back on topic.
yeah, back on topic here. The A lot of times these vengeful spirits come from seemingly nowhere, unless they've inhabited the ground beforehand, or are often summoned either on accident. Because I don't think people summon vengeful spirits on purpose unless you're a I don't know what the term is, but you're that kind of person. I don't know if there's a term for it or not, but because I can't say what it is because for all I know I'm wrong. But it seems they're always summoned by accident, and I think it's just taking the advantage to escape.
Yeah. I can imagine something else getting you riled up is if you're stuck wherever and then someone disturbs you and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna make your life hell.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there wherever in your afterlife spirit realm, and something comes knocking at your door, or like a I can't make any references here because I don't want to, you know, alienate our audience, or not alienate, but you know what I mean. Basically, someone comes knocking at your door and they won't go away, then you're going to get upset. I mean, I would get upset if somebody was knocking at my door and wouldn't go away.
Yeah, or it's like the
So,
circumstances, like someone knocks at your door as soon as you
mhm.
open and they just walk in your house and it's like they just sit down. Well, I'm not leaving.
No, no, not even that. If coming from the spirit side, they knock at your door and start asking you stupid questions, and to a point where you get fed up. And then even it's even worse if you're on a Ouija board and they're not using it right,
Yeah,
and they're not, and they're just kind of being an ass.
yeah. It was.
So
Yeah, I know. I know when people make Ouija boards, they always make the joke. Well, it's like, well, you're moving it. Take your hand off of it because you're moving it. Oh, I'm not moving it. It's like you shouldn't be touching it in the first place.
oh yeah, no, that's part of that sort of. Okay. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure how Ouija boards work because I'm not the one that wants to learn how they work. You
Yeah,
know?
there's a lot of talk about like psychology. Like your hands will move it, but you don't but you're not physically moving it.
Yeah.
There's psychology behind it, but I'm not gonna test that out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna find out. Let some other chump do it. Though, nonetheless, it is a still a bit of an anomaly, I guess you would call it. Then again, all spirits are an anomaly to a degree. That I wouldn't say it's an anomaly. It happens often enough that spirits are generally hostile for a few reasons, other than
Pretty much if you use a Ouija
revenge or
board, if you use a Ouija board
oh
or
yeah.
you live in somewhere that had a really bad thing happen, you're gonna have some kind of hostile encounter. But I mean, that's to be kind of expected. Not everything's super bad.
No, no, no. But generally, when there is something bad happens in a place, like generally a more
Like a
hostile
murder,
entity
for
will inhabit it.
example.
Murder,
Murder,
rituals of
suicide,
some sort,
homicide, something.
suicide. Yeah. Which reminds me, oh Lord, what was it? There was a case. I forget what it was. It was in one of the books I used to read because I used to read a lot of this stuff when I was younger, right?
Yeah.
There was a case about a guy who, uh, basically was playing this weird music. Police came, checked on his house, and they said, if you guys told him, if I don't stop playing this music, they'll get me.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
reading that.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, is that one of those scenarios where the house, the something in that house is upset, or did they summon something?
Now, I actually do remember that story because I read it recently. So, apparently, the whole story, from what I can remember, is the guy died from some kind of drug overdose, maybe a heart attack, and they revived him. But after they revived him, he was saying he went to hell. He saw what was down there, like, and he's scared because they want him back because he wasn't supposed to live. That's why he was
Mm-hmm.
playing all that weird music. And then they pled it to insanity because when they went to his house, there was a bunch of like scratch marks and claw marks on the guy, and it's like the
Mm-hmm.
house was destroyed and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like it very well could have just been a thing about insanity.
And that could be a case, but if somebody comes back and dies and tell me they went to hell, why shouldn't I believe them? You know, they died, not me, and they're probably more credible than I am.
Yeah.
So the thing is, though, in that case, with the evil spirits, would you say he, if let's say that house, I don't know if it's still standing or what they did with that house. I'm assuming if you went back there and if you did some sort of I don't know what the term you'd use for testing for spirits is. I don't know if there's an official term for it or not.
There probably
But
is.
oh yeah, I'm sure there is. But if you went back there, I'm sure you get some sort of hostile entity, because hostile entities seem to be linked to awful events. You know.
Well, it could also be the thing of like again, there's a couple movies over it. I need to stop using movies as references.
Hmm.
There's also stories of it, but it's like someone will have a negative experience in a house, or it's like
Hmm.
they'll just be having this like weird hostile encounter their entire life, and they'll move and it follows them. So like it could just be attached to that person.
Yeah, which makes me wonder why. That brings up why it would be attached to a person, but that might be in a story for another episode. Maybe that might be something we can look into in another episode.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be where we're going to end this episode of Ghost with Your Hosts, Tuesday Terror Talk, to be exact.
That's what we're calling this now.
Yeah, we need a name for the segments. We're doing Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays now.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you still use Facebook.
Don't follow me home though.
Yeah, yeah, we post updates. We post updates semi-regularly, almost every day, to figure out what we're doing, let you guys know, get feedback from you guys. We love to hear from you. So go ahead and make sure to comment, subscribe, tell us anything you want us to do in the comment section below.
And Troy, would you like to lead us out on this one?
I'm Troy. I've been your host on Ghost with Your Host tonight.
I'm Chris, the co-host, who's also a ghost apparently.
Yeah, you heard it here. My co-host is a ghost.
Oh, one day, but not today. Anyway, it's been nice to talk to you. Nice to be on the show again, and hope you all have a wonderful night.